Intelligence does not make you lonely because you are better than other people. It makes you lonely because it quietly changes the kind of connection you need. You can be surrounded by good people in a warm room and still feel a strange distance you cannot explain. It is not that you do not want people. It is that your mind keeps reaching for a depth most conversations never go. You are the person who goes quiet at parties, not because you are shy, but because the noise rarely turns into anything real. You ask a question that goes one layer too deep, and you watch the other person's face politely close. You replay conversations for hours, finding 3 things you could have said better, long after everyone else forgot. You crave connection and protect your solitude at the same time, and you never quite know which one you need today. You can hold a whole room's attention, then drive home feeling like nobody actually saw you. You have learned to translate yourself into smaller words, so people do not feel that you are showing off. And sometimes you wonder if something is wrong with you because connection seems so easy for everyone else. Here's the truth that will reframe everything. Nothing is wrong with you. Your wiring simply asks for more. The loneliness of a sharp mind is not a flaw to fix. It is a signal pointing you toward the connection you really need. Over the next few minutes, we are going to walk down through the layers of why this happens. And by the end, the distance you feel may start to make a kind of quiet, hopeful sense. So let us start with the misunderstanding that hurts the most. People think this kind of loneliness is arrogance. From the outside, a quiet, thoughtful person can look like they think they are above the conversation. But on the inside, it usually feels like the opposite. It feels like trying very hard and still missing each other. A curious mind moves fast. It jumps to the why behind things while others are still talking about the what. So you are often half a step ahead, waiting, hoping the talk will turn toward something that feels alive. That waiting can read as boredom, as coldness, as if you are judging the room. You are usually just searching. And because you notice so much, you also notice when someone is not really interested. You feel the door close early. Most people can enjoy easy, light talk for its own sake. For you, light talk can feel like running an engine in neutral. It is not that small talk is beneath you. It is that your mind is built to look for the door behind the small talk. Think of it like radio. Most casual conversation lives on one comfortable station that almost everyone can tune into. Your mind keeps drifting to a different frequency, where the signal is richer, but far fewer people are listening. That is the first layer. The loneliness is not about looking down on people. It is about a frequency mismatch. And a mismatch is nobody's fault. The light station is not wrong. The deep station is not wrong. They are just different. But when you spend years on a frequency few people share, the silence between real conversations can grow very wide. So you adapt. You learn to enjoy the easy station too, to be warm, to laugh, to keep things light when needed. That flexibility is a gift, but there is a quiet cost. A part of you stays parked, waiting to be turned all the way on. Which brings us to the second layer and the hunger underneath all of this. The hunger for a conversation that goes deep. For a hungry mind, the best part of being with someone is the moment a conversation suddenly opens up. That moment is rare and electric. 2 minds finally moving at the same speed, building something neither could reach alone. Once you have tasted that, ordinary conversation can feel a little thin by comparison, like water after something rich. And so, you start hunting for it. You scan new people quietly, hoping this one will be able to go there with you. Most of the time, the door stays closed. Not because people are shallow, but because depth needs trust, time, and safety. Depth is not something you can rush. You cannot force a stranger to open the deepest room on the first visit. So you wait through layers of weather talk and weekend plans, listening for the small crack where something honest slips out. When that crack appears, you light up. You ask the real question, and sometimes, beautifully, the other person steps through. But often, the moment passes. The talk drifts back to the surface, and you are left holding a question nobody wanted. Do this enough times, and you start keeping the deep questions to yourself, just to avoid the small sting of that closing door. And that is where a strange loneliness grows. not from being alone, but from holding back the most alive part of you. It is the loneliness of the unspoken, of carrying a rich inner world that rarely gets a witness. Many bright, kind people live their whole lives this way, beloved and busy, yet quietly starving for one real conversation. Now, you might think the fix is simple: just find smarter people. But the next layer shows why it is rarely that easy, because the same mind that craves depth also does something that quietly sabotages it. It analyzes everything, including people. The same sharp mind that solves problems will turn that power on your relationships, whether you want it to or not. A friend gives a short reply, and instead of letting it be, your mind opens 12 tabs of possible meanings. You build detailed theories about what people meant, what they felt, what they might do, often more detailed than reality. Analysis feels like control. If you can fully understand a person, maybe you can avoid being hurt or surprised. But connection does not work like a problem to be solved. The more you analyze a moment, the less you are actually in it. While your mind is running its analysis upstairs, the warm, simple human moment is happening downstairs without you. And people can feel that subtle distance. They sense they are being observed and understood, more than simply enjoyed. And here is the surprising truth, the one that quietly flips this whole thing around. The lonely feeling is often not caused by other people being too shallow. It is caused by you watching from behind glass. The glass is your own analysis. The very tool you use to feel safe is the thing keeping the warmth on the other side. This is good news, even if it stings, because it means a big part of the distance is something you can actually change. You do not have to dumb yourself down. You just have to step out from behind the glass and be in the moment, unguarded. Being present is its own kind of intelligence, maybe the harder kind for a mind that loves to think its way through everything. It can feel risky to stop analyzing. Without the glass, you might get surprised. You might get hurt. You might also get close. Closeness always carries that risk. The mind hates uncertainty, but real connection lives in the part you cannot fully predict. So, the second hidden cause of the loneliness is this: not a lack of smart people, but a habit of meeting people through a screen of thought. Naming that habit is half the work. Once you can see the glass, you get to decide moment by moment whether to step around it. But there is still one more layer, the one that aches the most. The feeling of being slightly out of sync with almost everyone. There is a specific ache in being slightly out of step with the people around you. Not above them, just on a different beat. You laugh a beat late at the joke because you are still turning it over. You go quiet when others are loud. You get excited about ideas other people find strange, and you learn to hide that spark so you do not seem intense. Over time, hiding the spark again and again teaches you a quiet lie, that the real you is too much for most rooms. So, you become an excellent guest in other people's worlds, while rarely inviting anyone fully into yours. You can be the friend everyone trusts, the one who understands them deeply, and still have no one who fully understands you. That is the real cost. Not being disliked, being slightly unmet, loved for what you give, but rarely met in what you are. And it is easy to turn this into a story about everyone else. They are too shallow. Nobody gets it. People are disappointing. That story feels true, and it offers a kind of comfort. But it is a trap. It turns your loneliness into a permanent verdict. Because if the problem is that everyone else is lacking, then there is nothing for you to do but wait and stay alone. The kinder and braver truth is messier. Most people are deeper than they first appear if given a door that feels safe. Depth is not only about how clever someone is. It is about how willing they are to be honest and to stay when things get real. Some of the deepest people you will ever meet are not the most impressive talkers. They are the steady, present, honest ones. If you only scan for raw intelligence, you may walk right past the people most able to actually meet you, which finally points us toward the way out. And it is not what most lonely, clever people expect. Most people try to cure loneliness by adding more. More friends, more events, more noise. For your wiring, that often makes it worse. A mind that craves depth is not fed by volume. 10 shallow conversations do not add up to one real one. So the way out is not more people. It is permission to want fewer, deeper bonds, and to stop apologizing for that. You do not need a big tribe. You need a small number of people you can be completely, unguardedly yourself with. Finding those people starts with a small, scary act. You go first. You let one real thought out and see who leans in. Not your deepest secret on day one. Just one honest sentence, a notch realer than small talk, offered like a quiet test. Some people will not pick it up, and that is fine. It is information, not rejection. You simply keep that bond light. But every so often, someone will catch your honest sentence and answer with one of their own. That is the door opening. When that happens, resist the urge to analyze it to death. Do not study the connection, just let yourself enjoy it. Real connection is less about finding someone clever enough and more about both of you being brave enough to be seen. And here is something gentle to hold on to. Your depth was never the problem. It was always the very thing worth sharing. The goal was never to become more ordinary. It was to find the few who feel at home in your kind of conversation. With those few, you do not have to translate yourself into smaller words. You get to speak in full size and be understood. That experience, even once a week, can quietly heal years of feeling slightly unseen. A little real goes a long way. And the friendships that stay light, you can finally let them be light without secretly resenting them for not being deep. Light bonds and deep bonds can live side by side once you stop asking every single person to meet you all the way down. This is how the loneliness softens, not by becoming someone else, but by aiming your hunger at the right, smaller target. You stop trying to be understood by everyone and start letting yourself be truly known by a few. That is enough. That is plenty. So let us come back to where we started. The strange distance you sometimes feel in a warm and crowded room. It was never proof that you are too much or that other people are too little. It was a signal about the kind of connection you need. Your mind is not a wall between you and people. It only becomes a wall when you hide behind it instead of speaking from it. You do not have to choose between being smart and being close. The bravest, deepest people somehow manage to be both. So this week, try one small experiment. With one person you trust, say the slightly realer thing instead of the safe thing. Then stay present for what comes back. Do not analyze it. Just notice how it feels to be a little more seen. Because the goal was never to be less of yourself. It was to find the few rooms where all of you finally fits. If this gave words to something you have felt for a long time, you are clearly not as alone in it as it feels. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring the quiet patterns of the human mind, one simple drawing at a time. And before you go, here is the question I would love you to sit with. Tell me your honest answer in the comments.